Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. I hope you like this video and smash that subscribe button. So we're going to talk about a couple of things really in this video. A lot of rumors going on with the Mets pitching. Obviously, the big news last night was they signed Frankie Montas to a 2-year deal worth $34 million. He's sort of a back end of the rotation guy. Fifth starter. He basically takes over for Jose Quintana. I know that people are not too enamored with it. I'm sort of half and half on it. But David Stearns has done a good job. He knows pitching. And he built a very good starting staff last year. To really, to a lot of people's delight and joy. I know a lot of people on WFAN, the fan, are not too happy, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They never do. But Montas gets 2 years, basically the same money that they probably would have given Severino if he'd resigned. Severino basically is done with the Mets, as far as I can see. I'd be very surprised if Louis comes back. Louis should have taken the qualifying offer, played another year, and really upped his value. But he didn't do that. But I don't think he's coming back. Now, I have a couple of updates for you. I got an update about Juan Soto, and I have some pitching rumors for you. This is from SNY.TV. An underwhelming but accurate update about the Mets. Yankees target Juan Soto. Yankees and Mets are in, and there's widespread belief and among bidders that the Blue Jays will come in with the highest bid in it. And this thing is written by little Andy Martino. Andy Martino, who blocked your host, unblocked me, and then blocked your host again. I would mention the YouTuber known as Pinstripe Territory blocked your host. Hey, I just breaking balls to a Yankee fan from a Met fan. He couldn't take it. Very interesting. Don't expect me to be doing any collaboration with any other YouTubers anytime soon. That's just fine with me. They're all strangers to me. None of us knows anything about where Juan Soto will sign, little Andy wrote. If you are as a fan of the Mets, the Yankees, Red Sox, or Blue Jays, frustrated by this, take comfort in the fact that the teams involved are similarly in the dark. It's also the Dodgers still skulking around. The luxury tax Dodgers. You know, I should be more aware of what's going on with the Dodgers. I should enjoy the Dodgers. Some idiots over in the other channel, over the little channel, telling me I should stop complaining about the Dodgers, what they're doing. And I should just enjoy it. I'm not a Dodgers fan, assholes. I didn't realize the Dodger fans are so like thin-skinned. Almost as thin-skinned as the Braves fans. My goodness. I don't think anyone knows where Juan wants to play except for Juan and Scott Boras. And maybe Juan's family, says one well-placed league source. Even Yankees people who like Soto personally felt connected with him over the course of the year claimed no insight into the depths of his head and his heart. At the outset of the offseason, SNY reported that the incumbent Yankees had a slight advantage if the offers were close. That reporting was an accurate reflection of what the few people who truly know him heard from him. But we don't claim that it's anything more than that. We don't see advantages for the Mets, whose strong leadership team is beginning what will likely be a long-run stability and growth. Yeah, I mean, the Mets group, this group's going to be around for a long time. Last week did little to clarify the situation. The Soto sweepstakes appear to have slowed for at least a day or two over the extended Thanksgiving weekend. As of Monday morning, there were no follow-up visits scheduled with teams. Why the lack of action? For one, Boras does not need publicity to land for Soto the largest contract in the history of the sport. The Blue Jays, Mets, Red Sox, and Yankees widely perceived to be financially aggressive. It's hard to see a strategic purpose in conducting this business in public. It's no secret that the Yankees and the Mets are all in on Soto's one league source reiterates that there is a widespread belief among bidders that Toronto will come in with the highest offer. There's also widespread skepticism that Soto would go to the Blue Jays. But a source pushed back on that, saying that if a team is involved in the final bidding, Soto is willing to play there. That tracks with the above point that Team Soto has no need to inflate the perception of his market by adding teams that aren't legitimately in play in it. It has been a bit easier for teams to guess the timing of this process than at Soto's choice of teams. Since the beginning, there has been a widespread expectation that the bidding would pick up this week and resolved by or with the meetings next week. That expectation remains. Everything else, we don't know, and neither do most people, wrote little Andy. Well, we'll see on what's going to happen with him, but I still have the belief that the New York Mets will be the one with him, because they will. Other rumors been that they're going to spend the most, but if they don't, well, we'll see. If he goes to Toronto, they're not going to. The Blue Jays aren't going to win anything. That's a mess up there in Toronto and in Canada. So why would any player want to go there? Just maybe a few years ago when George Springer went up there, but he shouldn't go up there. And he's got to run on that turf. That doesn't make any sense. I don't think he'll go there. If he does, he won't win. If he goes to the Red Sox, he'll win. If he goes to the Mets, he'll win. If he goes to the Yankees, he'll win. If he decides to go to Los Angeles and play for the Dodgers, they'll win. The Blue Jays aren't winning anything. Sorry if you're a Blue Jay fan, but I'm going to be honest with you. They don't have a great farm system. You know, there's always seems that there's such a boring team, mundane group. You know, nobody cares about the Blue Jays. Let's be honest. Does he want to go to a team that nobody cares about? That's going to be irrelevant? I don't think so. One of the great players in the baseball in the last 10 years is going to want to play up there. No offense to anyone from Toronto. No offense to Joe Carter. Joe Carter, was a great player, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is probably going to leave, I would think. Anyway, let's get on to the next thing. Now, as you know, the Mets made that big signing on Sunday night. They haven't made it official, but they signed Frankie Montas to a 2-year deal worth $34 million. And they're trying to fill the back of the rotation and the front of the rotation. We got a rumor here from SNY.TV. This also comes from Mets Mirage as well. Mets have interest in Walker Buehler, according to a report. Buehler struggled in 2024, but has ace potential. Isn't that interesting? The Mets, who just bolstered their starting rotation by signing Frankie Montas, have interest in free agent right-hander Walker Buehler, reports Joel Sherman of the New York Post. According to the Post, the market for Buehler is deep. Buehler is the only pitcher available this offseason via free agency who has legitimate ace potential, but who almost certainly won't require a long-term deal. It seems likely that he'll ink a 1 or 2 year deal, potentially with a second year being a player option, in order to build his value back up following Tommy John surgery and a difficult regular season in 2024. A plus regarding Buehler is that the Dodgers did not extend a qualifying offer to him. He's going to have so many teams in on him. And a lot of teams that may not be, you would think would be interested in him, are going to want to put a lot of energy into him, a lot of money into him for 1 year. Just to have him for 1 year. Buehler's struggles during the 2024 regular season was pronounced, as he posted 5.38 ERA and 1.55 WHIP in 16 starts over 75 and a third innings, while striking out 64, a career low 7.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. Closer look shows that Buehler's stuff graded out near the bottom of the league. Meanwhile, many of his advanced stats, including xERA, xBA, chase rate, and whiff rate, were among the worst in baseball. But as the Dodgers championship run went on, Buehler started to resemble the best version of himself, culminating with 4 shutout innings against the Mets in the NLCS and 6 scoreless innings against the Yankees in the World Series. In those 2 series, he allowed just 5 hits, walked 4, and struck out 13. When Buehler was right, he is a number 1 starter. From 2018 to 2021, he had a 2.82 ERA and a 0.98 WHIP, while striking out 620 batters in 564 innings. And while Buehler struggled this past season during what was his first year back after having Tommy John surgery in August of 2022, there are reasons to believe he'll be able to return to form in 2025 as he enters his age 30 season, which is interesting. He's young. He's got plenty. He should have enough. He should have more in the tank. With Sean Manaea, Luis Severino, and Jose Quintana free agents, the Mets' rotation remains in need of serious help even after the Montas signing. Kodai Senga and Montas will enter spring training as rotation locks, with David Peterson perhaps close to a lock. Other rotation options on the 40-man roster include Paul Blackburn, who is covering from a spinal procedure, Tyler McGill, and Jose Butto. The Mets shift him back from the bullpen to the rotation. Now, the Mets have some very interesting, 6 and 7 starters. I'm very big on Jose Butto. I can see him being very good doing both. Tyler McGill has a problem because I don't know if he can handle the bullpen. And he's just not good enough to go 4 or 5 innings. I don't know where the Mets stand with him. The Mets gave him a qualifying offer. He has these moments where he pitches really well, and then then there are times he looks terrible. He has good stuff, but I don't feel like he has the sort of gumption that you would need in the bullpen. He's not like his brother Trevor McGill. So that's the one thing about him that's very different than, say, Jose Butto. Butto has that sort of intestinal fortitude, and quite frankly, the stuff that translates well quite frankly, in the bullpen, and obviously in the rotation. So he's kind of more like Seth Lugo than really McGill is, because Seth Lugo was with the Mets for a long time, did both, but was primarily a bullpen piece, and then now he's a big starter with the Royals. But the thing about about McGill, is that McGill just, I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is with him. Anyway, let me go to Mesmerized Online. Mets pitching rumor roundup: Buehler, Holmes, and Soroka. Interesting. It's interesting. I would mention, please, again, subscribe on YouTube, and of course, follow me on X. According to the New York Post, Joel Sherman and Mesmerized, the Mets are interested in free agents Walker Buehler, Clay Holmes, and Michael Soroka. We talked about Buehler. I'm not going to go over that again. But anyway. Sherman also notes reliever Clay Holmes on the Mets' radar, someone who can bolster a bullpen in need of stability. Holmes comes off a 4-year stint with the Yankees where he posted a 2.69 ERA in 220 games. He saved 74 games, struck out 238 batters, and walked 69. For more on Holmes, well, I don't need to read that. But, the thing, I've seen Holmes enough. I don't know if he wants to be a guy here at the Mets to be the setup man. Does he want to be the setup man for Edwin Diaz, take less money to be a setup man here? I don't know. He'd be kind of sort of the closer to a certain point the last few years of the Yankees. 75 saves a lot in 4 years. Does he want to be a guy that's the back end of the bullpen to set up Edwin Diaz? I don't know. I would mention that Carlos Mendoza had watched him for a few years there with the Yankees as the bench coach, but I would mention this before I forget. Frankie Montas. He pitched for the Yankees. So I'm sure that Mendoza gave his recommendation on him. He probably knows him, and the little that he pitched for the Yankees gave his endorsement on him. So that should be considered very important as well. Speaking of bullpen stability, Mike Soroka spent the 2024 season with the Chicago White Sox. Boy, oh boy, poor guy. Where after struggling as a starter, excelled in a relief role. 27-year-old had a 2.75 ERA and 60 strikeouts in 36 innings as a relief. I feel bad for him, boy. Soroka started 9 games from the South Side, posting an 0-5 record, a 6.39 ERA, 43 and 2/3 innings. I mean, I feel bad for him. I just want to. Hopefully, he finds a place to pitch well. The Mets bring him in, I would not be unhappy. At least he wouldn't have to deal with being in a bad team. That's for sure. Be with the Mets that are really, really good. So we'll see what happens with that. So I want to thank you all for watching this wonderful video on the Mets and everything that's going on with the club. Obviously, we have a lot of stuff going on here. We got the Juan Soto rumors. I think that will be resolved by the end of the week, if not at the beginning of the winter meetings, which start on Sunday, December 8th through the 12th, Sunday through Thursday. We'll see what happens with the pitching. I expect the Mets to bring in some very good pitching. I would not be surprised they bring in Walker Buehler. He doesn't have a qualifying offer on him. The Mets can give him the same kind of deal that they gave some of these other guys that they did last year, which was pretty smart. Keep an eye on Corbin Burns. I know I didn't mention him in the video, but he's an interesting guy, to consider for the Mets. The Mets could use an anchor in that rotation desperately. They need a true ace, and he's a true ace. So I want to thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.